We just recently got a trailer that showcased that JoJo's All-Star Battle R is finally getting another absolute banger of a character with my guy Alternate World Diego. Now, I am over the moon for this personally because this was one of the characters I wanted to see by far the most in this game, and honestly, I'm pretty good when it comes to actually getting characters I want. It seems like this is kind of my thing at this point. We got Yukako, we got both Diegos, we got Risotto, we got Foo Fighters, we got Weather Report. Like, I am eating. Now, with a Season Pass 2 being in the works, and the reveal of what parts these characters are going to be from, I thought it would be cool to do a video where I just talk about who I think is going to be the characters for each part, and obviously, why I think that'll be the case. It says that we're going to get 3 new characters, but I'm really speculating we're going to get more because for this season pass we got 6 characters instead of the actually promised 4, which was pretty awesome. Some of them were even free. So if you enjoyed this type of video, let me know down below, and also let me know who you think the 3 characters are going to be, and if we get a 4th one, who do you think it's going to be? I'm personally leaning towards JoJo because obviously part 9 is actually out and we've seen quite a bit of his moveset, and with a character like Josuke who has 8 single chapters of a moveset to base off of, I don't think it's impossible to have JoJo in the game. So for part 5, I feel like a lot of people are speculating that Abakio is going to be the character that's picked. However, Abakio is a very passive stand, and I'm not entirely sure how they'd fight. So I had another idea. This game has been giving a lot of love to villains from part 5, like Prosciutto and Pesci being a tag team, and Risotto being a DLC character, so I thought it's probably pretty likely that we'll get another villain from part 5. And out of all the villains, I personally think the coolest one to see would be another tag team sort of deal like Prosciutto and Pesci, Cioccolata and Secco. Now, why exactly am I saying this in comparison to other tag teams like Squalo and Tiziano? Well, personally, I think it would be a very interesting style to have Secco just swimming throughout the entire area, and I think it would be super cool to have the characters that literally originated the 7-page Muda in the actual game, since one of the critical finish animations is the 7-page Muda. And I feel like they wouldn't really pass on that opportunity, especially since it seems like the villains are going in a sort of chronological order. Prosciutto and Pesci and Yaccio were from the first half of the story leading up to Risotto. And now that we're at Risotto, it would be a really good point to get into the Execution Squad, which would be obviously the later game villains. And I personally thought that the best fight of the later game villains was this fight because it was so dynamic and there was so much weirdness in their personality with their weird little, I don't really know how to put it, like master and pet sort of thing. But I think it would be a cool thing to show these characters who were super important to the plot being referenced with their actual fight in the actual game. So personally, that's what I'm leaning towards the most, especially because of the swimming gimmick. I just think that's really cool. And with the mold gimmick, that could be really interesting for a very pokey get in get out character that relies on the stage itself, while also having a poison gimmick, which we have seen with Fugo, but I think this one could be a bit different. Now, when it comes to part 4, this is actually where I think it gets kind of strange, because honestly, I feel like I have every single part 4 character that I would have wanted in the game. And we've already gotten another one with Keicho, who I didn't really want, but honestly, I don't mind him being in at all. Everyone else that I was considering thinking of for position felt a bit weird. Like, do we really need Surface or The Lock or anyone else who's super early in the story? I don't think so, because we could get Angelo and Aqua Necklace. That could be kind of cool, but he isn't really seen with Aqua Necklace a lot in the story, so I feel like it would just be a bit strange to see the two of them together and not a long distance type of stand. Then I thought about later in the story. Obviously Kira becomes the main antagonist, and a lot of the characters that are villains earlier in the story become allies. So I was really struggling to think of who could be a character. Like, genuinely, I really was. But then 2 ideas really stood out to me. And they were Mikitaka, the alien, for those of you who don't know the name immediately, and Highway Stars user Yuya. Now, both of these characters are both allies who are not villains. Mikitaka is basically a complete ally, and Yuya becomes an ally during the Enigma fight. So, I don't really know which of these 2 I really would want to see, as the role, like over one or the other, because honestly I do like both these characters quite a bit. They're both pretty cool and have a lot of cool moveset potential. But if I could think of one that had more potential because of the way their stand works, I think it would be Mikitaka, because of his ability to shapeshift and have some elemental attributes and some funny moments, especially with some sound-based abilities in the game. Like, I can already imagine an ability where Echoes is using a sound attack and Mikitaka has a sort of allergic reaction, like he did with the fire truck siren when Rohan's house was burning down. I feel like a lot of comedic moments could really just come through from Mikitaka being in the game versus Yuya being in the game. So for me, I'm leaning more towards having Mikitaka in the game. But you guys let me know down below which of the two you'd prefer, or if you'd prefer someone else. Like, it could be obviously someone that I didn't even mention. Like, it could be Enigma. That could be a kind of a cool fight. But I personally think those two would be the best choice. But now we're on the slot that has everyone talking. We're at the JoJolion character. Now, there's a lot of options here, but there are 3 that I think are very, very possible. We're going to have an actual fully realized version of Josuke. Now, I know that might sound really, really lame, but they're probably going to call it Josuke Go Beyond or something like that, and we get a fully actualized version of what Josuke should have been in this game. Now, if this isn't literally just a free character they're going to make in the game, this is the easiest way for them to make another JoJolion character. But personally, if they do another free character for the game, this would most likely be that one. Now, the other obvious yet unsatisfying choice to a lot of people would be Joshu. Now, Joshu was already in Eyes of Heaven and has a moveset set up with Nut King Call, so I think this is also a very, very likely option, especially since Joshu is a very preeminent character throughout a majority of the story, and especially the end game of the story. So I think both these characters are super, super likely, but would be kind of a bummer to a lot of people. There's also the possibility of a fully new JoJolion character, which has a lot of people talking. Is it going to be Yasuho? Is it going to be Jobin? Is it going to be any villain throughout the story? Specifically, the one. And personally, as much as I love Jobin and have to acknowledge that Toru is important, neither of these two come close to the level of importance that Yasuho has in the story. She's literally introduced in the first chapter and is the rock, ironically enough, that holds Josuke together. And I think that she would be an absolutely essential character to have in this game if it's not going to be, like I said, another version of Josuke or Joshu. I think Yasuho would by far be the best choice of a JoJolion character to put in this game, but hey, I could easily see Jobin and Toru being in the game and being really, really cool. So, what do you guys think? Who do you want from JoJolion? Let me know down below, and who do you want from Golden Wind or Diamond is Unbreakable? Like I said, these are all my speculations and ideas. That's going to be it from me. Hopefully you enjoyed, and have a good one.